Once upon a time, a kind young girl lived with her wicked stepmother and two wicked stepsisters. They were very mean to her and made her do all of the work.
I want my dress spotless for tonight's ball. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
The prince was having a ball that evening for all the young ladies in the kingdom. He hoped that one of them might fall in love with him and become his wife.
And mine.
And mine.
Do your very best. We have to look perfect for this ball.
You know, the one you're not invited to.
Trying her best not to show her stepsisters how sad she felt, Cinderella smiled sweetly.
I'll have them ready for the both of you. I promise.
You better. If one of us isn't chosen to be his bride, we'll be sure to blame you.
When Cinderella was sure her stepsisters were gone, she sighed.
Oh, how I wish I was going to that ball.
Cinderella worked her hardest the rest of the day to make sure the three dresses were simply perfect.
You may enter.
She delivered the beautiful gowns to her stepmother and stepsisters, who were busy picking out the jewelry they would wear to the ball.
Your dresses are ready for you.
This will have to do.
Yes, it'll have to do.
I could have done it better myself. Be gone with you now, girl. Back to the basement.
Cinderella could hardly hide the sadness she felt inside.
Yes, ma'am.
Cinderella went and ate what she was given for dinner, a piece of stale bread. When she heard laughter and footsteps outside the kitchen, Cinderella knew that her stepmother and stepsisters were leaving. She went back upstairs to watch them climb into the horse-drawn carriage that would take them to the prince's castle for the ball. Cinderella could not hold in her sadness any longer. Cinderella heard a strange sound come from the basement. She picked up a broom for protection and set off to find out what had made the noise. She went quietly down the steps with the broom held tightly in her hands.
Who's there? Who is that?
Cinderella raised the broom above her head when suddenly...
Is that any way to treat your fairy godmother?
No longer afraid, Cinderella approached the stranger.
I'm sorry. Who are you?
Like I said, I'm your fairy godmother.
Cinderella was simply speechless as her fairy godmother looked curiously around the room.
I don't have time to explain myself. You have a ball to go to.
Oh, I'm not going to the ball.
Her fairy godmother couldn't wait to tell Cinderella what she had in store for her.
Oh, yes, you are. That's why I'm here.
But I don't have anything to wear. And even if I did, how could I get there?
Ah, this will do. Follow me.
The fairy godmother carried a small pumpkin up the stairs. Cinderella followed her out the front door of the house and into the yard. The fairy godmother put the pumpkin down and reached for something in her sleeve. It was a shiny white wand. Then the fairy godmother spotted a pair of field mice in the yard. She waved her wand again, and they magically transformed into regal horses. Cinderella couldn't believe her eyes. Next, her fairy godmother turned a pair of frogs into footmen for the carriage.
You're magical.
Thank you for finally noticing. Now, we need someone to drive this thing. That should do it.
But how could Cinderella go to the ball in her tattered dress?
Oh my, I almost forgot.
Her fairy godmother waved her magic wand one more time, and Cinderella was simply amazed by what she saw.
Look at my dress. And these shoes.
Don't stand here admiring yourself. There'll be plenty of people at the ball to do that. Now, run along, dear, before you miss it.
Cinderella walked over to the magnificent carriage where the footmen were waiting for her to climb inside.
I almost forgot. Leave by midnight, as the spell will wear off.
I promise, and thank you.
Cinderella waved goodbye to her fairy godmother and rode off, feeling like she was in a dream. When she arrived at the castle, she couldn't believe that she was really there and really going to the prince's ball. Cinderella was introduced to the prince and curtsied, then walked down to the dance floor where she found a place to stand and watch the festivities.
Who is she?
I don't know, Your Highness.
Well, find out, please. I'd like to ask for a dance.
Yes, right away, Your Highness.
As Cinderella watched the dancing and merriment, she felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to discover none other than the handsome prince smiling at her.
Would you care to dance?
Cinderella took the prince's hand with a smile. He led her to the dance floor where the two began to dance the night away. The prince was so enchanted by Cinderella, he didn't want to dance with anyone else. The two of them felt like there was no one else in the world. When the clock finally caught Cinderella's eye, it was almost midnight. Cinderella remembered that the spell would soon wear off.
I have to go.
The handsome prince called after her.
But I don't even know your name.
Cinderella ran down the stairs of the castle as the last stroke of midnight rang out. Suddenly, her beautiful gown turned back into her raggedy clothes, and Cinderella didn't notice that she had lost one of her glass slippers on the stairs. The next morning, the prince left his castle and ordered his men to help him search far and wide for the girl whose foot fit the glass slipper.
Search the entire kingdom and find that girl.
The prince and his men went from house to house, trying desperately to find the mysterious girl who he had fallen in love with. But they couldn't find one foot that fit the glass slipper. The prince and his men arrived at the very last house in the kingdom, Cinderella's. The wicked stepmother had her two daughters try on the glass slipper. But no matter how they tried, it was no use. It didn't fit either of them. The prince was distraught. Where was his love?
Are there any other ladies living in this household?
Not thinking of Cinderella as a real lady, the stepmother and her daughter answered,
No.
No.
but the stepmother's second daughter was not as sure in her reply.
No, not really.
Not really. So there is.
The prince demanded to meet the other lady of the house.
Bring her now.
The prince smiled as Cinderella entered the room. He asked her to try on the glass slipper, and it fit perfectly.
It was you.
The prince was overjoyed. He had found his love. Cinderella's wicked stepmother and wicked stepsisters were not so happy.
With your blessing, we shall be married in spring.
Oh, please forgive me, Your Highness. I did not know she attended the ball.
It is not I that you should be asking for forgiveness.
The wicked stepmother and her cruel daughters begged Cinderella for forgiveness. Not having a mean bone in her body, Cinderella graciously granted it.
I forgive you. All of you.
And with that, the handsome prince led Cinderella to his carriage and a new life as his princess in the royal castle, where they lived happily ever after.